if that works now.
Okay.
Being the timer. So, hello everybody. I'm
Hi.
Ed.
I'm Rich. Sparked Innovations.
Sparked Innovations, and this is our live show. This is the Friday edition.
Yep.
So what we want to do is kind of take what we talked about on the Wednesday show and expand on it and get some more feedback and comments from you. And in fact, I did get comments earlier on my Facebook page. You can watch this on the Sparked Innovations Facebook or the Sparked Innovations YouTube. Both are Sparked Innovations. You have a choice, either or. We can see comments from both sources. So feel free to go to your favorite one here. Let me bring up the comments. Let's see. Show chat. There we go. I had the mic over here. Move this back a second because I can change this. Yeah, this is what I wanted to change. Move this back a bit. Like that. I made it tighter. See?
Oh, okay.
You can bring it up if you want to. But, all right, we got Emilio. What's going on, Emilio? So just a few things to kind of brush up, like housekeeping stuff. I did load, or we loaded, 6 videos onto our YouTube that are edited videos for our relay box, the RBX 4CH. So if you are curious on how it works, what you can use it for, there's a lot of information on the features of our relay box now up on our YouTube at Sparked Innovations. So check that out, and we'll probably be doing Fanny, Speedy. Oh, there's the first alarm. I don't have the volume up, but all right. So let's go on to all the comments and everything. We'll start with some of the ones I got on Facebook, and the topic is: do you want to tell us, fill us in with what? So where we left off?
What we were talking about last time were business challenges that started when we didn't even have a set idea of what this company was going to be, all the way until now. And the challenges haven't stopped; they've just evolved. And there were some comments that came through asking us questions about what it was like, the different things that happened, how we overcame some of them. So we would like to expand a little bit more on that and kind of get more feedback from you guys. This is the purpose of this one. We're live in Sparky, like our Wednesday show, but this is more conversational. Yeah. So we want to hear from you guys. We could spend more time answering questions, the back and forth, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we got Nathan Potter in the house, and he left a comment that has to do with the early stages of starting a business, and it was coming up with the name, the logo. I guess you can throw in colors in there, and a lot of the design work. Website is a big thing nowadays. So going back to when we started, should we talk about that challenge and how we overcame?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had set up a meeting every weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. Since I had a full-time job and Ed was doing Spark full-time, we'd spend the weekend. That would be our time to huddle, see where we were the week before, make plans for the following week. And then, back then we didn't have a whole lot of capital. So little components and parts and stuff were coming from Amazon, DigiKey, Mauser, all those places. We weren't yet buying in bulk, from overseas. And we didn't have enough foresight as to how many we would need. We didn't have a forecast because we were just starting out. So it's difficult to look into the future and say, how much am I going to need of this component, and then buy enough. So we would frequently run out of components. Up until about a year ago, that was the case. We were always starving for components, to the point where, we would start looking on the floor and under tables and under shelves and stuff, hoping to find, a PH2 connector or,
that has to do with not having the buying power that we do now.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Or that we will in the future. So
right.
It's buying 100 bolts as opposed to 1,000, or in the future 10,000 or 100,000 or whatever
Right.
it is.
Yeah, I think it was JP that made a point that money begets money. It's kind of like, if you look at the curve, it's like this little bouncing back and forth of, money, no money, no money, and then making those investments and stuff. But there becomes a time where it starts to do this, and then it does this, and then, you know what I mean? So it always feels like you're just crawling in the very, very beginning. If you look in retrospect, if you look at our performance, it looks like that. You know what I mean? It's like when is it going to start to? But if you have, let's say, $50,000 just on hand to buy stuff that you can later resell for 100,000, then that chunk of money comes in a lot faster than if you're just building a few components here and there. You sell some products, you bring in $1,000, and then you buy $1,000 worth of components. You know what I mean? It's like on such a smaller scale. So we're kind of in that position now where we're trying to make that bigger jump, that bigger push, so that we can get money in, send it back out, and then larger dollar amounts, because you got to outpace your overhead. That's the big concern.
We have to grow. Well, that's a whole other. Someone did bring that up. Let's go back to the early stages, back to the design. Like he asked about logo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sparky.
Well, even before Sparky.
Let's talk about the creative.
Names. Yeah, we had different names for the company. We didn't. I wasn't set on Sparked Innovations.
I think, was it the Tilted Kilt? One of the bars in King of Prussia is where we met to talk about the name.
Yep.
And everything. So let's go back to that.
Jeez.
And try and remember, because that's a challenge, but that's a fun challenge. And though we are both creative individuals, that might make it more of a challenge, because you can take it in many different directions. And especially if you have two different opinions, the directions are hard to narrow down. So then you come up with a list of options that are all viable, and it's hard to figure out what is the best one for you, which one can you agree on. And I don't think it was too difficult, because we have history of doing other business stuff, Razorlight, and we kind of like the same color palette. And so a lot of the design stuff, as far as the logo and the branding, kind of fell into place with where we were at before anyway, with the old company and with what we like. Blues, whites, grays, that kind of color palette. And then choosing the name was an epiphany. It sparked, our imagination was sparked, and that's exactly where it came from. And with that, we decided we wanted a mascot and to name him in line, and he was going to be Sparky.
And a tidbit about why we chose to do that. It's our opinion that a brand can be much larger than any one person, right? We wanted to get away from, Ed Lester's company or Rich Tornetta's company or Ed and Rich. We wanted it to be Sparked Innovations. We wanted that to be the name, the brand, the entity that people paid attention to. So usually it's good to have a face of the company, and we are that face. However, we also wanted to allow people to place their thoughts and expectations and opinions of our company off our shoulders and onto a brand, so that it's outside of us, it's larger than us. And that was kind of the idea of having a mascot like Sparky, to represent the spirit of the company, which is nerdy, happy, fun, approachable. That's everything that Sparky is about, and everything that he embodies. And then as we grow and as we get much larger, we can make the moves where it's, we're not just the same two guys every time. It's like, we want to be able to build this company, grow this company, and who knows the personnel shifts and changes that'll happen along the way. We want to be this big company.
This goes right into Rick Profit made a comment about getting customers to trust in your business or your brand. And though we did have followings from YouTube and social media. I've been in the industry professionally. Rich has as a enthusiast. So we've had friends in the industry for years. So we were able to take that initial group of friends and use that as a starting point. So it wasn't going in super fresh, green, as you may say. There was a little bit there to start with, but still a challenge where most people have never heard of Sparked Innovations or Ed Lester or Rich Tornetta or a relay box or what the products that we offer. So the challenge in trying to have our customer base grow and trust in us really fell onto, and this rolls over. All this stuff is connected to where not just one comment, but multiples had to do with customer service, saying that's a challenge. And early on, it was tougher than it is now because, like Rich has said, he was working a full-time job. So during the day, it was me, who I have social anxiety, and I don't like talking on the phone. So it was tough to have top-notch customer service.
We still did it, though.
Yeah, we still struggled. And I know you want to speak on this a little bit because you really took over the customer service side of it. But what I will say is my view, and some of the comments were about dealing with tough customers. My view on it, and here's advice I have to those who do struggle with customer service. The way I view customers is we not luckily, by design, are not dealing with the general public. This is not a supermarket where everybody needs to come in and buy food, right? This is a niche group of people that are into what we do. So the way I view our customer base is they're all either friends already or potential friends. So I'm selling to, I'm educating our products to a group of friends, whether that I've met them before or not. It doesn't matter. This is the mentality of a person that fits with my mentality because we share the same hobby. So with that approach, it's easy to deal with someone who's having a hard customer service experience so that we can overcome that challenge together and try and turn it, if not a positive experience, at least neutral, and get them what they need, whether it's from our company or something else. And I think just going from that view of people being friends automatically puts me in a position to not really have tough customer experiences. Make sense?
Yeah, coming from you, that makes a lot of sense because the way that you process relationships and social interactions is different than mine. But knowing you as long as I have, that makes sense that you would organize it that way mentally. Right. I obviously, come from a different background. I went to school for design, but was thrown into marketing and just realized that I had a talent for it. And I could also sell, which was weird because when you're a designer or when you're an artist or whatever, creative, because I'm a musician, you're not supposed to be really good at selling or marketing, especially selling or business. This is what my dad's telling me. My dad's, been a CEO for decades, but he was surprised to see that I could sell. So I naturally got put in those types of positions. And I later got into project management and was given all of the tough, hard customers that no one else wanted to deal with. And I would be able to handle them, no problem. And I was curious one time about why I was put in that position. This company I used to work for called Think It First. And they said to me, "You have the nicest way of saying no." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, whenever someone needs to deliver bad information, usually it's really, really difficult for people. But I guess I had a talent for just being on this happy, personable, approachable. I'm trying to help you, but I can't do this, or the answer, is no, but I'll do anything else that I possibly can for you. It's kind of like the way I view customers is I work for them. Okay. So I'm a business owner, right? I'm not supposed to work for anybody. Well, I do work for somebody, and that is my customer. They pay all my bills. They're the ones that matter. So it doesn't matter what they're buying. It doesn't matter even if they don't make a purchase. If someone calls in, we're going to help them. We'll spend time with them. We'll help them lay out the stuff in their system, help, spec batteries and cables and all that other stuff. They might not buy from us, but if you guys have ever watched A Miracle on 34th Street, I'm a firm believer in get it at Gimbals, right? Go get it somewhere else. I'll be the guy to help, right? That's inbound marketing. That's what I've always found to be most effective, the best way to build trust and happiness and a long-term customer relationship, right? So I've had plenty of instances where people would call us thinking that we were another company. And, they were in the car audio industry, and we were friends with that company. And we're like, okay, well, since you can't get through to them, I'll call, I'll reach out, I'll email, and I will make sure that your issue gets handled. I've done that several times, and it's bailing other companies out, sure, but that's not the way I look at it. The way I look at it is someone called in, they have a need, I'm going to help them regardless. And what ends up happening is 9 times out of 10, they end up saying, hey, you know what? I've spent all this time on the phone with you. What is it exactly that you guys do? And then we get into a conversation about, because it's a related industry, and they're like, wow, you guys make some pretty cool stuff. When I'm at this part of my build, I'm going to reach out to you. And then they're happy as shit because they finally got the answer to all of their questions. They've got their issue handled, and they want to say thank you.
You made a new friend.
Right. Yeah. It happens all the time.
But that goes along with something I want to address. Some of the other customer service questions had to do with wasting your time talking to someone that doesn't buy anyway. And just like what Rich was saying, that's not wasting your time. You are spending time, but that time you don't know. Chances are you help that customer in one way, whether it's just with information or with a product, whatever it may be. That customer comes back to you when they need or want what you do offer. Mm-hmm. Or here's what I've had. Now that I have Sparked, I have customers from past businesses that grew to trust and like me then, who come to me now. Whether they can get it somewhere else or not, they come to me now because of a good customer service experience or interaction they had with me then. So you're building a relationship. Don't think of it as you're wasting time. They're not buying right now, because you're building a customer base ongoing for the future. That's valuable. That has a value to it that you can't necessarily quantify. It can it just helps you grow and get a good reputation out in the world, in the industry, right? Word of mouth stuff.
Word of mouth is incredibly powerful. That's probably the number one. And when you're like us, you don't have a huge marketing budget, we can out customer service anybody, right? So that's what
can you read from there?
Rich is the best customer service buddy ever.
So there you go.
Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate that.
And man. Dylan Rogers always had great phone calls, whether it was a question about a product or something about an order. Super proud to be early customer and a customer for life. Well, thank you, Dylan.
Thanks, man.
High Five Vegas says, this business mantra is cream. Cash rules everything around me.
What does Paul say?
Hey, Rich, take off your hair. What's his obsession with
hair? That's what it was. I was trying to figure out what the comment was the other day. And I was like, is it about the receding hairline thing? Is that an insecurity of people that mine's intact? And then it must be, because I guess, does it look like it's a hairpiece? It's thinning. It's thinning in the middle. Doesn't really look like it, but it is.
I guess so. Tom touches on marketing partners with products for some racing will generate your company name and products. I guess that goes back to the challenge of getting customers to trust you and maybe building your customer base in general. Because one of the other comments on Facebook had to do with that, is just getting your name out there, building your customer base. Depends on what your company is and your product is. Sponsorship things were always a big deal for racing companies and whatnot. And I think car audio tried to adopt that, but it never really worked. In the late 90s, late 90s and early 2000s, it worked. But nowadays, it's not a thing, right? As far as sponsorship, kind of. It's like a loose area. But marketing partnerships in general, if you can do a strategic partnership to get your name out, spread out to where it normally can't on its own, that's smart. What the challenge is finding out how to do that, what the partnership is, who the partnership is with, where you fit, because you can, I don't know, we can partner with Chef Boyardee. Like, does that do anything for us? No, not really. So there has to be a smart way. And we're still trying to figure that out. Mm-hmm. Like we want to be in the racing industry, off-road vehicles, side-by-sides. But since we don't come from that world and we don't necessarily have a employee or partner that's like knee deep in that world or waist deep or shoulder in that world in any depth at all, it's tough. It really is. That is a big challenge for us, I think, right now. One of the many challenges that has popped up is trying to enter other markets. Mm-hmm. We do have some partners in the industry that are loosely in there, so we just need to try and figure that out more, I think.
Yep.
What else we got? Paul again? Oh, that's his. We got Nathan Potter. David Monroe's in the house, says hi, guys. So feel free to drop a comment. We got a few minutes left before we're going to get out of here. Let's look at Facebook, see if there's any other stuff. Finding customers and clients, building a base for your business. That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
How about this? This is Justin Detweiler from Circuit City Days. What's up, Justin? If you're watching, thanks for chiming in. Delegating and trusting people to manage their part of the business without constantly getting involved.
Yep. And I got to tell you, I think I've said this before. We've got this one employee. Her name's Kate. She's been with us almost a year now. And we got to have Chris as well. He joined us. He's part-time. Kate's been with us, she's probably the longest person that's been employed by us. And we were telling her the other day, having that consistency that she provides to be able to come in, get right to work, and like clockwork, how much stuff she'll be able to get done in a certain period of time. The output is consistent, the performance is consistent. And so when I say, okay, I have this issue here, right? I can go back into my office and get back to work and not have to worry about that thing on my mind. That is invaluable. It frees me up. You know what I mean? So, having that, it took 4.5 years for us to actually get that, to not have to do everything ourselves. And I'll tell you, man, it makes a huge difference. And you also have to know how to delegate, when it's appropriate, and how to let go. Micromanaging hurts, and then not trusting hurts because the other person doesn't feel empowered. And if you're always worried about making mistakes, and then as an owner, you're always worried about that person making a mistake, it's not going to work. You have to allow them enough rope to hang themselves, right? So let them trip, let them fall. We learn, we get back up, we keep moving forward, right? That's the way you train. You don't sit there and nitpick every little thing that's wrong. And, you have to trust, and it's not always appropriate to trust. That has to be earned. That has to be something that's shown. So it is tricky. It's not as easy as just like, okay, well, I'm just going to give this to that person, and I know they'll handle it. That has to be shown that it can work.
With what we do, training is important. So we design our products so we can design the process of how they're built. So for us, I think it's easier to do training than on some other things since we kind of set the standard. So I can work with Kate and Chris, find out what their strengths and weaknesses are so that I can adapt the process slightly to them, if that makes sense. So we have a good team where they're very capable of many different tasks. So there isn't any compromise in that sense. Any compromise or adjustment really is maybe the order of steps or exactly who's doing what at any given time. So the knowing your team, so you're delegating, but knowing the people you're delegating to and with is very important. Understand your strengths and weaknesses as well as theirs. And in partnerships, that's important too. So we know when Rich came on full time, we almost already knew exactly what tasks he'd be heading up versus what I would keep on doing myself. Customer service was probably the biggest one. But also all the behind the scenes business stuff also, which you've grown to love.
Yeah, actually. Go figure.
Yeah. What was your business moment of 2021? Do you mean greatest business moment?
Yeah. Clarify what you mean by that.
If you mean favorite or greatest business moment, for me, it was Slamology. We were just debuting different colored fannies. So I just built our display. We had fannies before, but this was our first time displaying all the colored options that we had. And we took what we thought was an adequate supply to sell. We ended up selling out of our supply, plus all the fannies off of our display. If you don't know what fanny is, it's a cooling fan for amp racks and whatnot. But the great moment was, I think it was Scott Dilbeck.
Scott Dilbeck, yeah.
So if you know Scott, Rolling Thunder, their podcast and everything, comes driving by our booth. If you know how Slamology set up, there's a road where all the booths are that cars just drive by. You could do like a parade. And he comes driving by with his back window down where his amps are mounted. And you see the white acrylic fanny that we built and sold him already installed. And he tells us that it saved his amps from shutting off in the heat because they were shutting off before that. He installed. So there was instant feedback, instant use of a product bought, and instant feedback that it was working well and doing what he needed it to do. For me, that was a proud moment in the product. It did what we wanted it to do.
Mine's easy. Meeting John Robbie and Bobby Gately, especially John, obviously, because I wanted him for the longest time. Taken out of context, that sounds funny, but I wanted Sky High. That was on my list. And it was long time coming, and it was like, we need to get to that level where we can support a distributor like that. And finally met John, and come to find out that he was actually looking to get us on, and it was a mutual thing. He was just as excited, and it was almost like we were, just like we looked up to him, he was looking up to us, right? So it was really a kismet moment, and then just meeting Bobby Gately for just the pleasure of being around that guy and listening to all of his stories, and finding out about his business. I didn't know about Gately and audio until I started seeing all these enclosures, like when he was interviewed. I went on the site and I started noticing, and it's kind of like when you learn a new word, you hear a new word, and then all of a sudden you start hearing it everywhere. It's like, how did I not hear this word before?
Gately.
That was kind of like, I started seeing his sub boxes everywhere. Maybe that's part of social media throwing me what I'm looking at, but
probably because I didn't tell you the stories of Vegas.
Oh, maybe not. But yeah, that was my highlight of 2021.
Can you read Paul's comment?
Truly never met a duo with more contrast to each other. Oh man. Thanks, Paul. Paul usually throws in a lot of jabs and comments, and he's really funny. But that's heartfelt. That's really sweet, and I appreciate it. And it
plant banana carrot.
It wasn't easy, He's got a very digital mind, and I would say I have more of an analog mind. So the way he sees things is different than the way I see things. So we have to balance that out. And there's creative differences, there's philosophical differences, and emotional differences. So we have to kind of balance each other out. I will get uppity, before he will. I'll hold on to something longer than he will. But yet, if I want to like move faster, it's kind of like he'd rather be slower and more careful and considered and cautious about it. So it's a great balance to have. If we were both like me or both like him, the company wouldn't be as successful as it is. And I thankfully have a mentor in my father and his ex-partners, who, there were 7 partners in that company, actually maybe 8. Towards the end, there was 8. And many of them were either friends or relatives. So they've gone through 35 years of different personalities, different situations, high stress, high dollar amounts, millions of dollars, you know what I mean? This person owing, all that kind of stuff. And he would tell me, because he was the president and CEO, how he had to manage all of those personalities and all of those relationships. And then if he saw infighting over here, he had to get those parties to work together. So it was a huge education, and I'm still learning on the job, but it's definitely contributed to the success of our company, because it's not all product and financial stuff. It's interpersonal. It's how are we going to build this company together as 2 human beings? We're not robots, right? We're emotional beings. We're thinking, constantly. We have our own opinions and ideas, and you gotta make that, I guess, what's the word? Harmonious. And it's challenging, but we've been successful thus far.
Yeah, we are out of time. If we could wrap it up, but if you want to go on about have any closing statements or touch on any of the stuff, we can.
No, I think that's pretty much it. As we said, this is the more conversational Friday, and this will happen every Friday. Every Wednesday, we have the more formal. It's kind of like a word of the day or a phrase of the day. Or of the week. And what we'll do is we'll take more Q&A from you guys, expanding on Wednesday's topic on Friday. Yeah. So that'll be the chance. That'll be a little bit less formal. And if you have suggestions of things that you would like to hear about, topics or certain words or whatever, please share those. We'll make a list, and we'll definitely make sure that we touch on those.
Okay, Jeremy King, because I don't want to skip everyone. Like I said, this is less formal. It's not exactly superstructure, and I won't get into full detail now since we're signing off. But Jeremy King did ask, hey, let's talk about how the voltmeters work. That can be a complicated topic. So why don't we put that in the box for something to talk about next week, where instead of this week was more about business. Mm-hmm. And how we do our business and business in general. We can get more on product and technical stuff next week. How about that? So that's a suggestion that I'm taking from Jeremy, and I'm offering up as something to do next week. If there's other things that come in by Wednesday, and when we do that instead, then sure. But we'll always come back to something like the technical aspects of what we do, to be educational, informal. Informative.
You all right?
Eventually, we're going to have an English episode. That might be a difficult one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Inside joke.
Yeah. Anyway.
He told it outside and it didn't work.
Yeah. Which is also an inside joke.
Yes.
Okay. So any closing remarks? Okay. Nope. We do appreciate you all for hanging out.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, Robert, we got High Five Vega, we got Paul, we got, like I said, Jeremy, we got Robert Earl Jones, and we do appreciate everyone. Again, on Facebook, Instagram, well, you can watch these videos on Facebook and YouTube at Sparked Innovations, but you can also follow our TikTok and Instagram at Sparked Innovations. Mm-hmm. I'm at Sparked Ed on all of those. You're just rich.
Yeah, don't follow me. Follow Sparked.
Check out sparkedinnovations.com. If you're looking for inventory of products right now, I know Paul at G2, he's in here. You can click on his name and message him and say, send me some stuff. I need it. And he'll just send it to you. You have to send them money though first. That's how it works. But we have other dealers like Sky High mentioned, and a bunch of
Showtime
others.
and
Showtime.
Down for Sound. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they have inventory. We have some inventory, but that's always something to do is check out our dealers, check us out.
Oh yeah, and I can start mentioning this now because I hate mentioning things that aren't ready to come out. After much delay, I've been rebuilding our website, and it's not going to look that much different, but there's going to be a lot of structural changes on the back end, which is boring. You don't care about that. There will be a dealer locator, and that is one of the things that I've promised Paul for a long time. So I'm working on all the back end stuff now, and if all goes well, I can get it up next weekend. That's kind of like my goal. If I rush and I have some time on my hands, I'll get it up this weekend. But I won't tell anybody because I want to have all of its issues that it's bound to have when I go live, and then I'll fix all of those issues, and then I'll announce that the site is up. Then people can visit a functioning site.
So keep a lookout for that. And we'll be back live 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday for Live and Sparky.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.